So this is a video light that Gerald Undone called the most accurate color light he'd ever tested. And it's made from a company you probably wouldn't associate with lights, and that's iFootage. So when iFootage reached out to me and asked me if I'd like to review this light, I jumped at the chance because I wanted to see, is it really look any different than my other lights? And if so, how can I get more of these in my life? Now, iFootage sent me a daylight and a bicolored version of this light, but they didn't give me any money, and they didn't tell me what I had to say. I guess that implies if they did give me money, I would say whatever they wanted me to say, which is not true either, but they didn't give me any money, and I get to say whatever I want. Now, while this is a great light, it's not named very well. It's called the Anglerfish SL1 60 BNA. I don't know what BNA stands for, but it's a bicolored light. Maybe you should have stopped at the B, or BI, or BNA. Does anyone know what that stands for? I looked on their website and I couldn't figure out what it stands for. If you know, let me know in the comments. And the daylight only version is the 60DN for day-night. Both of these lights are 60 watts, but they also make a 120 version, a 200, and a 400. You just pick the light that's right for you, and you get the same color quality in all of them. Now, iFootage claims that it has a CRI rating of 98, which is pretty impressive. Now, we're going to test this out a little later, but I want to see what it really looks like. Can I see a difference between this and my other lights in its class? All right, let's find out. All right, so I've set up this scene, and I've got my iFootage light in a small softbox here, and it's putting this light on my face. I have a few other lights as well, but most of these are just the background lights that are there, but I do have a little rim light over here because, well, I just couldn't help myself. So let's turn that one off. Yeah, that's a small little hair light that, well, let's turn it back on. Looks like this, and it's motivated by my light there. All right, so I'll change the degrees Kelvin now to 5600 degrees Kelvin, and it'll be a little blue and it won't match the rest, but at least I'll have a consistent light that I can match up with all the lights that I'm going to show you. I'm going to start by showing you this little light. Yeah, this is the Amaran 100XS, and it's a little more powerful, but it's the exact same price as the iFootage light. It's made of plastic instead of metal, but it is a great light. And I want to see if there's a difference between the output of this light and the output of that light. All right, here we go. All right, so this is the Amaran 100XS. And let's see if you can tell a difference in the skin tones between the two lights. These are both set now to 5600 degrees Kelvin, and side by side, they look pretty identical to me. I was really kind of hoping that the iFootage would have something that I could see in my image that would clearly make a difference. And so far, I haven't been able to see one. Maybe you can see one. If so, let me know. All right, so let's try another light. I have this little GoDox light, the ML100BI. It's a 100-watt light. It's also bicolored, and I love this for travel. If you want to see a video about this, well, you can watch that right over here if you have ADHD and you can't stick with this video any longer. If not, keep watching. All right, so here's the GoDox light. It's also set at 18%. Now, it might be a little brighter or a little less. I can't really tell, but you know what? It looks about the same as the other three. And I think that's because Amaran, GoDox, iFootage, they're all fantastic lights. Oh, but while we're here, let's just compare this to my all-time favorite light, the Aputure STORM 80C, which I have right here. And you know what? It does have a different look. It looks different than all of them. Now, is different better? Well, I kind of think so, because it uses the Blair engine. Instead of just having RGBWW to make up your white light, well, it makes up its white light from the Blair engine. So to my eyes, using all those different colors produces a better light. But you know what? It's not that much better because I can correct the others to look more like this light. Here, let me show you. Yeah, it's not a perfect match, but you know what? I think it looks pretty good. It's really not about the light. It's how you use it. Yeah, sorry about that. So with a little tweaking, I can get those others to look pretty close to this, especially if I use a little chart like this one. Yeah, this Calibrite chart really comes in handy, because what it allows me to do is come in here and just isolate this section, and then I look at the vector scope and I see where it's off. And then I make the little adjustments in the hue versus hue settings in Final Cut Pro. Yeah, I use this all the time because I'm not a great colorist, and this really gets me closer to the mark every time. Now, there's a lot of other reasons why this light is so expensive, plus it can do full color. Yeah, so it's not a fair comparison. If you'd like to see more about this light, though, you can just watch that video right over there. Here, let's get this back to something that looks halfway decent. Yeah, there. All right, so looking back in the footage, I can see that the iFootage light is a little different than the Amaran and the GoDox, and closer to the Storm 80C than I first thought. So why did I say that this light and the Amaran were nearly identical? Well, because they looked identical to me in the pre-test. Yeah, I shot a little pre-test before I actually put on my suit and set up the microphone, and yeah, they looked about the same to me. Now, the pre-shot was shot early in the day, and there was some sunlight leaking into the room, so that may have been a factor, and I'm not sure I got the exposure just right on all these lights, but you know what? I have learned that lights don't all produce the same look, even if they have the same Kelvin temperature. Now, to explain why, I'm going to show you some graphs from my spectrometer. I'm also going to tell you about the CRI scores from all of these lights. Let's start with CRI. Now, a CRI test is just simply measuring how well the light renders 8 standard pastel colors. Now, I was a little disappointed when I couldn't replicate the iFootage 98 CRI score. I only got 96. Oh, but the bicolor version did a little better at 97.2. Now, the Amaran scored at 96.7 and the GoDox at 97.3. The Storm 80C at 97.2. But still, I couldn't get anything to 98. Now, that doesn't bother me at all because these all score in about the same range for CRI, and they're all fantastic lights. But what's interesting to me is that all these lights have a different color curve. In other words, they're using different combinations of different lights to achieve the same 5600 degrees Kelvin. So here's iFootage marketing from their webpage, and they claim that their curve is much flatter than the competition's, and that there is a much smaller blue spike than other brands. When I tested this, I did find that there is a blue spike with the iFootage brand, but it is significantly less than those of the Amaran and the GoDox. The Amaran also has a tiny little spike down here in the indigo area, which is interesting to me. And maybe that's why some people prefer that light. In fact, we see a larger spike in the indigo curve here at the Storm. We also see that the Storm has a wild curve, probably the wildest of any of these. So yeah, are we looking for a flat curve? Are we looking for a spike curve? You know what I think we're looking for? I think we're looking for a nice image. What you like, what you see in your camera. And I certainly can't figure that out by just looking at the CRI scores and the curves. But now I want to compare these three bicolored lights that all cost the same, $199. So let's set aside this full color light that is $600 and just talk about these for a minute. In its price range, the iFootage light is an incredible value. First of all, it's fully metal. Yeah, this is a really well-built light, whereas this is plastic, and so is this. Oh, and the mount on the iFootage is also fully metal, whereas there's a lot of plastic on the Amaran. And there's actually no mount on the GoDox. You just have to thread it onto something here that has a 1/4-20 thread on it. Yeah, so big win for iFootage, unless you're looking for something that's really great for travel. But even then, if you take off this little mini Bowens mount, it's not really that much bigger. Now, the controls of the iFootage is very similar to that of the Amaran. You've got the two knobs, and it's very easy to work around. The GoDox is a little different. It has a little knob here that runs in a different way, but you know what? This works out just fine, too. And all these lights have great app control, so there's really not a problem with controlling these lights. Now, the Amaran and the GoDox are also 100-watt lights, whereas the iFootage is only 60. Here, let me show you the results of the output. Now, the Amaran comes with a full-size Bowens mount on it, which is nice. But this little light has a mini Bowens mount, which is good for the reflector. But it also comes with a full-size Bowens mount adapter. With the adapter attached, well, now you have a new spigot. And guess what? This spigot is plastic. So there's that. Personally, if I was going to buy this light, I would probably spend the extra money and get the 130 version that has the full-size Bowens mount. Oh, and the GoDox light also comes with an adapter for full-size Bowens mount rather than this mini. Now, GoDox has made a lot of accessories for their little mini lights, and you can put like this little Fresnel on here. Yep, these are fantastic. But sadly, the mini Bowens mount on the iFootage, well, it won't accept the GoDox one. It's not really a standard. The only real standard is the full-size Bowens mount, and that's why everything either comes that way or has an adapter for it. Now, another big concern when buying a light is what is the fan noise. And I'm happy to tell you that I haven't had a problem with the fan noise on any of these lights. I simply haven't heard it. If it's a couple of feet away, I don't hear it. Plus, there's dimming curves on this light, and you can actually put it into silent mode. Now, it dims down a bit, but you can actually turn the fan off. And neither Amaran or GoDox has that silent mode, so another big win for the iFootage light. Now, none of these lights come with a case, but the iFootage light does have a version that will come with a case for $50 more. And to me, I would spend the extra $50 for a case, because one of the reasons I don't take these Amaran lights out much is, well, I don't have a case for them. I don't know of a case for the GoDox light. If you know of one, let me know in the comments, because I'd like to get a case for this little guy. Now, all these lights are going to have a power converter brick that you're going to have to hang on the light stand off to the side. That's just the reality of these lights. But the GoDox light and the iFootage light can be powered by USB-C. Yeah, this is pretty fantastic. Amazingly, the Amaran battery doesn't work on the Amaran light yet. Maybe we'll see another light in the future. Oh, and if that light ever does come out, well, I'll probably get my hands on it and review it here. So again, you might want to subscribe. And these are all bicolored lights, which brings me to this other iFootage light, the daylight only version. Yeah, in every way the exact same light, except this is a little more powerful because it can use all of its LEDs towards that 5600 degrees Kelvin. If all you need is a daylight light at 5600 degrees Kelvin, well, this is less than half the money of this light right now. Now, before you make any purchase, you should know that none of these lights are weather resistant, and none of them have DMX control, if that's something that's important to you. So if you need weather resistance, DMX control, full color, well, nothing beats the STORM ADC, at least in my opinion. But it's 3 times the money. So, yeah. Congratulations to iFootage for making a fantastic light, a light that has great specs, incredible build, and very, very affordable. Hey, thanks for stopping by.